Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Thursday, September the 28th, 2017. Good to have you all here for our second of two shows. This week we have a lot to do, so as always, let's start off by reminding you all of the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at ITSpotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag ITSpotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure you like our fan page once you're on it, once you find it. Okay, so as I try to post these Twitter links here, it's not really working. I don't know why. It's not, though. Don't you hate when things don't? Oh, here it goes. All right. So we have a lot to do today. You're going to hear an echo effect in just a second. So there you go. All right. So we have a lot to do. We're going to throw a little sports out there tonight because, and we do this every once in a while. It really just depends on, like, you know, if it's a big enough story that we can't wait till Tuesday. And this obviously is a big story. It's got a lot of layers to it. And, you know, it's something that we're going to be discussing, I think, a lot. And it's important to, it's just one of those stories where it's important to kind of discuss it as it goes, because leaving it alone is just, to me, just kind of like, it's not, it's a story that requires due diligence and focus along the way. So that's why we're going to cover tonight. And that is the continuing scandal in college basketball. And obviously there were some big developments in regards to that yesterday in terms of Louisville letting go of Rick Pitino and their athletic director yesterday. So we'll talk about that, the fallout from that, and the continued fallout that's going on, all the new developments that have taken place. So we'll talk about that tonight. And a special sports kind of report tonight. That'll be later on in the show. So we'll do that tonight. That was something I decided to add because I feel like it needs to be discussed. I feel like it's not something that you can wait, you know, because by Tuesday we might have more details to talk about. So I figured it was good to add it to the show tonight. So we'll do that. We'll do our usual entertainment coverage, TV highlights, box office beat. We'll continue our fall TV report card series to cover some of the new returning shows that have, you know, debuted or premiered so far this fall. Give our opinions and stuff. And that's going to be kind of a combination of in combination with the TV highlights, because all kind of factors in if you think about it. You can kind of combine the two segments in a way. So that's what we did last week. I'll probably do it again this week too. So we'll do that. We'll do all that, and then we have, as I said, we moved the wrestling stuff from Tuesday to tonight because we really wanted to be able to focus on it. You know, the No Mercy, the fallout from No Mercy, Raw, Smackdown. We wanted to be able to talk about all that, so I figured moving it to Thursday was the right thing to do, and that's why we did it. So we got all that to talk about. So we got real wrestling, real sports, and then of course our usual entertainment coverage tonight. So we got a pretty full-packed show here tonight as we start off the night here. So you got that to look forward to tonight. Now, next week, as I said, next week figures to be a pretty normal week. It is the first week of October. We are approaching our 7th anniversary. So a lot of people have been asking what we plan to do. I have a couple of ideas. I'm not going to announce them yet because I haven't really decided completely what I think what I want us to do. Now, I said I would discuss changes to the show. We'll do that later. I don't want to do it right now. I think it's something that's better suited for the end of the show, because when we do that, we talk about that, and then we don't get to the stuff we have to get to. I'd rather get to that stuff and you know, and then with the time we have left, go into it. So that's what we're going to do. So if you're interested in some of the changes that are coming up and what's currently on our mind as far as what we're going to be doing and all that kind of stuff, tune into the end of the show and we'll get into some of that at the end. So there's that. As I said, next week will be a pretty normal week. So don't expect anything big. We will do the NFL preview next week. We'll do it on, I don't know if we'll do it on Tuesday, probably Thursday, because I want to do even though we got entertainment for next Thursday, actually, no, we'll probably do it on Tuesday. We'll do it on Tuesday. We kind of have to, and we'll do a little bit of a baseball preview, playoff preview as well. Because next week we have to do the wrestling stuff too. So we do have a pretty packed week, but it's a pretty normal week in terms of what we're doing. So Thursday will be entertainment, and I'll probably leave, do what we did this week and transfer all the wrestling stuff to Thursday. And as we'll preview WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So it won't be an all-wrestling show, but, the majority of it will be. And, of course, we'll continue our fall TV report card series, so you can look forward to that. And on Tuesday, we'll do, baseball. We'll do the baseball playoff preview. We'll obviously be up against the AL wildcard, the wildcard games, wherever they meet. I think it'll be the AL wildcard on Tuesday we'll be up against, but we will be up against this. We'll discuss it live on the air. And we'll do a baseball preview. We'll do an NFL season preview. I know it's a month in, but that's what we've been setting up to do. So we'll do that. And then, of course, we'll talk about all the week 4 NFL games, look ahead to week 5, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a full show on Tuesday and then another full show on Thursday. And the week after is when we'll celebrate the anniversary and probably start to implement some of the changes that we have coming up to the show. So, all right, so there's a little insight into what's coming up. And I'll make an announcement about how we're going to celebrate the anniversary of the show next week. I'll let you all know. I just haven't decided yet. I can't announce until I decide. So we'll get into that next week as well. So that's a little bit of insight into what's coming up in the next few weeks here. So I want to get started here before Mike. I know Mike's not on yet, but we can kind of move about him. So I want to get started here, and we'll start off in entertainment, and we'll start off with the box office beat here. And there's not much to be said. Obviously, I mean, there's a little bit to be said, more so than we've had. I mean, obviously, the storyline over the last few weeks has been It, which, kind of brought the box office back from its summer slumber, if you will, a late summer slumber, if you will. And it's been doing great. It's passed the $500 million mark today, or yesterday, I should say. So it's done great. Now, this weekend, we said, was the weekend that everybody kind of circled on the calendar. Nobody knew It was going to do what it's done. Everybody knew it would be successful, but not to this extent. But going into this weekend, this past weekend, I should say, we knew that it was on paper 2 big blockbuster movies, late September. And late September has become a kind of like a turnaround week for the box office. It starts to build up, and in October you get a few big movies, and then obviously the holiday movie season gets going. So it kind of starts to build up and starts to rebuild things a little bit. So the idea was these 2 movies that were coming out, big releases that were coming out this weekend, were going to kind of help the box office a little bit along with It. Now, I could already, and you already have seen it, but, with the exception of It, you could already see the narrative is, well, everything's going to underperform because people think that last weekend was a disaster in some ways. Because Kingsman didn't do what many people thought it had the potential to do, and Ninjago didn't do exactly what people thought it had the potential to do. So everybody's going crazy. Here's the thing that people need to remember, all right? Both those movies, even though they fell well below my expectations, okay? And when I see 2 movies like that, I think even in late September that you can pull off a big number, especially since both those properties are part of franchises that have done it in the past. But when both, there's a belief there, and there's a feeling that they could pull off bigger numbers than, would 2 big movies of those kind come out in September usually do, because there is a built-in audience there. Now, when they come in well below your expectations, obviously people are going to go, well, that's a disaster. They both underperform. That's a flop. Neither one of those movies are going to be flops. All right. I think, though, we have to, and this includes myself, when we look at a property, it's not enough to just go, okay, built-in audience, automatically make it. Timing of year is still very, very important. And I know we've seen some movies like Hotel Transylvania 2 did very well late in September. We've seen some franchises pull off time periods like the late and back end of September and do big business. Why didn't these 2 do big business? That's a very, I think, complex question in a way, because there's a number of reasons why, but I don't know if any one reason is the reason. I think it's a combination of reasons, as Mike is now in the spotlight. Mike, how you doing?
Oh, I was just waiting for your combination of reasons.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I think in regards to Kingsman, the R-rated component is always a component. Now, it didn't hurt it the first time around, but the first time around, you remember, it also came out around winter break during a holiday weekend, President's Day weekend. That helped it. People were off, more people, so I think that helped it. I also think too the length of the movie. This movie was particularly long. Sometimes that cuts into showings. I also think too the reviews hurt it. Even though people were like, oh, it's Kingsman, I'm going to go see it regardless of reviews. I do think it kept some people away. It's like, well, it didn't have that curiosity component that the first one. Everybody knew what you were going to get, and it means that in that case you might not be in a rush to go out and see it. So I think all those components, and there is a feeling too that many people thought it didn't need a sequel. So and that you could say that about most movies now in a lot of ways, but I think that component's in there as well. So I think it's a little bit of all that sentiment. How does that affect Lego and Ninjago? I think that one has a little bit more of a clear reasoning to why it didn't do as well as it hoped. We had a Lego movie already this year in Lego Batman back in February, which did very well. I think they would have been wise to hold off on this movie and give these movies enough distance. There was almost 2 years difference between Lego Batman and the first Lego movie. I think you risk overdoing it here because look, let's be honest here. These movies, Lego Batman was a little bit different because it's Batman, but they all have the same humor, and they all fall into the same kind of convention. So, you got to be careful here not to push these movies too quickly. And I think that they did that here. I think they should have waited. I see what they were seeing. Oh, it's late September. There hasn't been a big kids movie, family movie in a long time. People are going to eat this up. It's Lego. They like all things Lego. It's, been well promoted. I saw what they saw here. I understand why they did it. All right. But I think there's a lesson here. And this is probably still going to be a successful movie. Okay. But I think they're going to learn a valuable lesson here and say, maybe if we do this, maybe one per year is about the max you can do. You have to have enough distance here between these movies, or else people are like, well, I just saw a Lego movie earlier this year. Do I want to see another one? Also, I do think, and again, we've had family animated movies do well in September. All right. So I don't mean to be like, well, this is always the case, but sometimes, you know what? Maybe circumstances are very much in play. Maybe in this case, for this particular weekend, people in some big markets, because big markets can dictate a lot, in some big markets, there was things going on that kept people from the movie theater, okay? So, I don't know. It was also a very hot weekend in a lot of places. People might have been outside, which might have kept people away from the movies, So there's different things to consider. Each case should be considered different, even if there's some broader themes or broader circumstances that tend to happen at certain times of year. So as you look at these numbers, they're not horrible, especially for late September. They're not horrible. We got spoiled by the last few years. Kingsman came in with $39 million. Lego and Ninjago came in with 20.4, which is still good for late September. Now, here's the thing. In its third weekend, pulled in 29.7, only dropping 50%. Did that hurt either one of these movies? It definitely wouldn't hurt Lego movie. I don't think it hurt Kingsman because I think they cared different audiences, even though they're both R-rated. And they both appeal to the male demographic. I don't think it would hurt it in its third weekend. Now, look, is it a shock to see it above Lego and Ninjago? Yes, because we all thought Kingsman and Lego and Ninjago were on their way to about 67, 80 million. All right? But given that they weren't, is it a surprise to see it where it is? No. It is a little bit more than I expected it to point. I thought it'd be under 20 million, but you know what? I think we got to stop treating this like a conventional horror movie because it's not. It's a phenomenon, and people like it, and it's doing very, very well. It's already passed $500 million. So, so when you consider 39 million for Kingsman, 29 million, almost 30 million for it, Lego Ninjago 20.4, you have 3 movies at 20 million or better for late September. That's tremendous. As a whole, it's a great box office week, especially for the time of year. So I think you take that. Both Kingsman and Lego Ninjago are going to be successes. They're not going to be flops. It is a little bit disappointing because you thought they had the potential to do more, but it didn't happen. So painting it as all negative here, I think, is ridiculous. Now, outside of those 3 movies that I mentioned, Kingsman, It, and Lego Ninjago, the only other movie that registered enough to be mentioned was American Assassin, which in its second weekend dropped from second to fourth, but 6.2 million. Nearly a 60% drop off. Again, not very shocking. And then we knew everything else would be under 5 million. And some of the more smaller releases like Friend Request and Stronger, Friend Request put in around 2 million, Stronger put in 1.6. So, and Battle of the Sexes put in 515,000 in its limited release. I didn't talk about Stronger last week, but Stronger is a film starring Jake Gyllenhaal, R-rated drama from Roadside Attractions, and it's going to get some play in the next few weeks. It doesn't have a lot of buzz around it, but it will get some play, and it will expand its release in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's again, we figured everything under. I think American Assassin was the one movie we thought outside of the main three that we mentioned was going to be over 5 million, and that's exactly how it happened. So it had 4 movies at 5 million or better, 3 movies at 20 million or better. So that's a good weekend for late September. It's a very good weekend. So as you go into this coming weekend, as we enter the last weekend of September and transition into October, you look for a weekend that figures to have probably one of the big 3 be the #1 movie. I don't see anything that's coming out being able to pull off unseating either Kingsman or It or Lego. I think you're going to have a bunch of movies between 20 and 10 million. They're all going to be bunched together because none of the new releases strike me as movies that are going to do huge business. First of all, we mentioned a movie that's being released, that's already been released yesterday, and that's Jeepers Creepers 3. It's a horror film. It's only made, again, it's, let's see here. Oh, it's only 1 day, so forget that. That's not going to factor in anything. I thought they were giving it the whole weekend, but they're not. So forget about that. We're going to just move on from that. It was a 1-day thing. It was on Tuesday to Wednesday. So only 3 releases of note and 2 releases that will be expanding. Let me tell you about the expanding releases first. I already mentioned them. Battle of the Sexes, which is a sports film from Fox Searchlight, opening 1,213 theaters. Again, this movie stars Emma Stone and Steve Carell. It's gotten a little bit of buzz, but nothing too much that's going to carry it around. You may see it make maybe 3-4 million if it's lucky, given the cast. And then you got Stronger, which I just mentioned, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, a drama from Roadside Attractions. It'll be expanding into 645 theaters. Again, maybe 2-3 million. Again, in that same vein, so nothing big to expect there. Not getting a lot of buzz at all. Now your big releases. You got somewhat of a small release. I wouldn't consider this mainstream. Again, this would be on more of the smaller side, obviously, because then there are 1,000 theaters. A Question of Faith, a drama from Pureflix, opening in 661 theaters. It's a Christian film, PG. Again, you're looking at about maybe 3-4 million, maybe even less, probably less than that. So that won't factor in. So the 2 movies that really figured to factor into things. The biggest release, American Made, a crime thriller from Universal. That'll be opening in 3,024 theaters. R-rated, starring Tom Cruise. It's already made $59.5 million overseas, so it's well on its way there. It's going to appeal more to older audiences. I don't expect it to break 20 million. If it makes 16, 17, that's about all I can see it doing. I just haven't seen a whole lot of discussion about this movie. Yeah. So I think one of the movies from last weekend that dominated is going to repeat easily. Then you have Flatliners, a sci-fi horror film from Sony Columbia, opening in 2,552 theaters, PG-13, starring Diego Luna of Star Wars Rogue One, Ellen Page, Kiefer Sutherland. So a very, very good cast. Very, very well promoted, but not exactly getting a lot of momentum. So, or a lot of interest. So generally, especially it doing the way it's doing and it doing what it's done, I can't see it pulling in more than 11-12 million, and that might be pushing it. So when it all barrels down, it depends on what movie big movie from the last few weeks do you see taking #1. I think Kingsman's going to crash. I think it's going to drop another 50. Even if it drops 50%, which is about what it's been doing, 50, 55, 60%, it's going to be between 15 and 20 million. So I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Kingsman wins the weekend with 23 million. And then I'm going to go with American. I'm going to go with it in second with around 18 million. American Made in third, around 16, 17 million. Lego Ninjago around 13, 14 million. Flatliners around 10. And let's see. Here. Did I say Lego Ninjago already? I think I did. Yep. Okay. So that's all I can see. Everything else will be under 5 million easily. So, so as a whole, for the last week of September, it probably won't be too bad. But individually, it won't make any headlines. But again, a lot of these movies will just be bunched together, and then everything else, like I said, will be under 5 million, as I mentioned. So, so yeah. Now, Mike, do you have anything to add?
No, I wasn't paying attention anyway.
Okay. So next week figures to be a much bigger weekend, as you got the release of a movie that figures to do very, very well, and that's Blade Runner 2049. And you also have the drama The Mountain Between Us and the animated film My Little Pony. And an expanded release in Victoria and Abdul, which again, another one of those movies that doesn't have a lot of buzz, but will be kind of like of interest to some, I guess. It's got enough attention to be of interest, but it's not something that's going to get a lot of awards buzz. So, but next weekend figures to be a weekend where the big movie will probably make some big waves. So we'll talk about that next week when we do our box office beat next week. All right, so that's it for the box office. Not much else can be said. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, TV highlights and fall TV report are going to kind of fall into the same vein because right now, you know, I'm sure Mike will have some outside of just fall TV shows, like new shows debuting and returning shows returning. I'm sure he'll have some outside of that. But you know, I figure a lot of the stuff that, especially for me, that I'm going to bring up is stuff that kind of falls into the fall TV report. So I figured combining the segments not only saves time, but also kind of makes more sense. So this will both be our TV highlights and our fall TV report card continuation here. And I'm gonna go first because I'm gonna be quick because right now my thoughts are just kind of there. First of all, I haven't watched as much of these shows as I would have liked to have. I watched a couple. I haven't gotten to the big hits. I watched, like I said, I watched only a little bit of Orville, and I liked what I saw. I haven't watched. I know Young Sheldon's the big one that did well, which everybody knew was going to do well. I haven't watched that yet. So, and I'm not a Big Bang Theory fan, so I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. But I know that's going to get me some hate mail, but whatever. So I haven't really watched a lot of that. What is the show I watched on Monday? Oh, The Good Doctor I thought was terrible. I like the actor. I like Freddie Highmore, but nah. I like the premise. I thought it could be good. But to me, they're just I don't know. I'm not I thought it was a little too gimmicky. I thought they tried a little too hard. I thought instead of you know, I don't know, the whole thing just feels like it's just too gimmicky for me. It's a good premise, it's a good idea. It would have worked if they took it a little bit more seriously and made it a little bit more, I won't say, I guess, character driven in a lot of ways. Instead of just being like, oh, here's this doctor, nobody else is going to hire him. You know, he's gifted, he can do this and that, but really he shouldn't be here. I mean, it's just they might as well, they kept beating you over the head with it, and it just took away from the show. To me, it was just rough, very, very, very rough. So I thought that was not particularly good. What's the other one I watched? Other than the return ones, I'm trying to get to the new ones that I watched just to kind of mention it. Oh, I watched David Boreanaz's show, Mike. What's it, The Seal? Whatever it's called. It was on CBS.
Like SEAL Team something.
SEAL Team, yeah. I watched that. I liked. it's probably going to end up being okay. Only because it's CBS and they have good luck with this stuff. But honestly, it's I feel bad for him because I feel like and it only got a 1.5, so I don't know how long it's gonna last. If it felt, it doesn't stand out. You know what I mean? It just feels like any other show, and there's a lot of these kind of shows coming up this year, very similar. The Brave, which I caught a little bit of, which I didn't like. They just feel like I like it when you have these kind of shows and you have the characters and you have the characters' stories kind of intersect with the stories that are going on around them. I feel like when you just stick everybody out here and do the whole case of the week thing or situation of the week thing, but don't bother to give us anything with the characters where there's some depth to the characters, something interesting going on with the characters, it just makes for a very generic show. And I think that's what a lot of these shows are. SEAL Team was like it. The very little I saw of The Brave was like it. I don't know. It just doesn't click to me. So I can see why those shows kind of struggled a little bit. Now, I haven't seen The Blacklist yet, although I've heard people say good things about it from last night. I think people said it was a much lighter show and they thought it was a better fit, and it did better last night than it's done in a while. So maybe it's something to it. South Park, I haven't seen this week, but I watched last week. I thought last week was terrific. Very, very good. The Craig and Tweak stuff was good. The song at the end was just fantastic. The whole thing was good. I thought it was a really good episode, easily better than the first week. Let's see, what else have I checked out? I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on a lot of things. So you have to. Gotham is a lot better. A lot better. So far this season, I'm cautiously optimistic. They're focusing on the right people. The characters are acting the way they should act. They're finally bringing along, a lot of the stories that we, would see. Like all the characters are kind of becoming what they should be becoming. It's like somebody finally lit a fire under their asses and said, "Hey, this is what we need to be doing," because nobody cares about the continuing stories of Jim Gordon. So they're doing a much better. I think they're doing a much better job. A much better job. It's not perfect. There's still some things you gotta roll your eyes at, but it's far better than it's been in ever, in my opinion. And it's early yet, so hopefully they carry it. But it's a lot better. So at least there's that. I'm trying to. I think that's it. I don't think I got the chance to get to anything else. So mostly. So a couple negative, a couple positive so far. I mean, again, I think this weekend I'll get to far more. There's a lot of things I want to get to. I want to see what Will and Grace offers tonight. I want to get to Young Sheldon. I'm interested in Ghosted. I think that looks okay with Craig Robinson and Adam Scott. I'll check that out this weekend as well. So there's some shows that I have to check, but those are the ones I've gotten to so far in between everything else. So a couple positives, a couple negatives. Mike, you got the floor. Go ahead.
All right. My TV highlights so far. All right. For the fall. All right. I will parrot something you said. Episode of the season I thought was actually pretty not good. It was not good at all. But it was actually much better. The one with Tweak and logic impression with PC Principal over that. I thought that episode of South Park was very good, and episode behind. At least I am. I don't know about you.
I am.
You are okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the second episode of the season was pretty good. All right. So what else have I seen? I'm all caught up on the Orville, at least until tonight. The Orville has been good, fairly solid. The second episode had its moments. Wasn't the best, but it had its moments. Third episode, I think, it's been like the best one so far. It's kind of like moments. The third episode features definitely features the Seth MacFarlane's heavy-handed like liberal beliefs, and those show up in all the shows at some point, and it showed up in episode. And you know what? It wasn't bad, and it made the plot pretty good. It did showcase all sides. Obviously, it showed that his side was better, but that's not always how it goes. So, I'm liking the Orville so far. It is essentially South Park. It is essentially Star Trek with dick jokes. That is not the worst thing in the world. Is actually I think that's great. So I do recommend the Orville. I'm enjoying it. Moving forward with it, I'm looking forward to see how it goes. Episode, I have the last episode of Bull, the season premiere. I have not seen it yet, but I have it. I'm probably give a report next week on it. The season premiere of Lethal Weapon, and it essentially picked up where it left off. It was intense. It was funny. It was action-packed. It was well-acted. It did focus on Riggs a lot. But it also focused on Murtaugh quite a bit because Murtaugh to Mexico because Riggs is looking to avenge the death of his wife, and it was the leader of a cartel. And this episode kind of that entire dynamic line really well. I'm surprised it came to this much of a conclusion, like a conclusion so fast. But to be fair, entire season, and we had to wait to the first episode of the second season to get that resolution. While I'm surprised it ended this quickly, I'm actually glad that it did. So we can kind of see them move on and grow as characters, as they did in the original Lethal Weapon movies. But this is nothing like them. I mean, it's a little like the movies. But I do highly recommend Lethal Weapon. We're off and running. What else did I see? I saw bits and pieces of the Big Bang Theory premiere, and that sucked. I saw bits and pieces of Young Sheldon. That also sucked. So I don't recommend them, but if you like those shows, have at it, Hoss. They're for you anyway. What else did I see? Holy crap. Show's all right. So there's never a need for content. There's always something. Depressingly stated, but there's always something. See, I got Bull. I saw, Masterpiece Mystery, Dr. Blake, off the grid. Dr. Blake, Australian, 1950s doctor, surgeon, doctor for the police department, solves mysteries. Mentioned this last time. I've got one more left. Every episode so far, I think, has been really, really good. I enjoy period mysteries, and I want other people to enjoy period mysteries. This is good. I would recommend Murdoch Mysteries or The Artful Detective, seen on Ovation. But the latest season just debuted for you lovely people in Canada, which means we won't get it till like January. So just fuck off. Super jealous. Other than that, I don't know. I got Waiting for Me. It's DVR'd up. I have not caught Gotham yet. I guess I've been hearing good things about it, but I don't know if I'll sit down and watch all of it. Hoping it'll be good. Arrow comes back in a few weeks. Legends comes back a little after that. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping against hope. No Olicity. That's all I'm hoping for. This might be the greatest season of Arrow ever. I mean, outside of season 2. Season 2 is the best season. And nobody's going to say otherwise. Other than that,
No, but season
gave you some highlights going forward. I gave you some highlights now. Oh, the new show that I'm most excited about is The Mayor, and that's
I've heard good things about
coming.
that.
Comes next week. I'm looking forward to that one.
I've heard good
really
things.
Looking forward to that one. So that's what I got.
Good stuff. Really quickly, I'm just going to throw this out. I don't know if you've seen this, but I know you'll like it. I just saw it, so I feel like bringing it up on the air. Do you know that Tom Hanks is going to star in a David S. Pumpkins animated Halloween special?
I saw that about an hour or so ago.
And I guess Peter Dinklage will also have a role in it?
Yeah. It might as well. So,
that's
all right. I'm invested. Even Pumpkins, man. So I'm all right. Let's do it.
It's Tom Hanks and Peter Dinklage. I'm cool.
Yeah, at the very least, to be nominated for an Oscar and an Emmy. So
yeah. That's a cool idea. It's a good way to match. It's Halloween. It's a nice seasonal thing. So, all right. So again, this fall TV report card thing will continue on here for the next few weeks until mid-October. Until the point that most of the shows have returned to debut. At least the ones we were just doing the fall. Obviously, shows return and debut all year round, but during the fall it's usually the big thing. So that's why we do this series here. So we'll continue that next week and the week after that. So as we go along, we'll have some more shows returning. As Mike mentioned, Arrow and a lot of the CW stuff doesn't get started until about the second week of October. So those shows have yet to debut or return, and we'll over the next few weeks we'll continue to do this as we check out some new shows and some returning shows. So we'll continue that as we go along here. All right, so that's the end. That's the end of the entertainment portion of the show. Now we got to get to some wrestling. And one of the reasons why I moved everything from Tuesday was because there's a lot to mine here. We had No Mercy Sunday, which was just an interesting event. We had Raw Monday. We had Smackdown Tuesday. So there's a lot to mine here. First, I think we should start with No Mercy. Well, I'll go first, and I'll throw it to Mike because my thoughts kind of cross over into Raw a little bit too. So I'll probably do my No Mercy and Raw stuff together. First of all, I thought, and I think you're going to probably say this too, the first half of the pay-per-view Sunday was phenomenal. Again, at times predictable with the results, but that's okay. The matches were for the most part good. They did their job. I mean, the only thing that was cringeworthy in the first half was Jason Jordan trying to do a face promo. That was about it. And then it culminated. You had probably one of my favorite matches of the year in the tag match between Rollins and Ambrose and Sheamus and Cesaro, which Cesaro obviously lost his 2 front teeth and had the stitches in his lip and all this other stuff. But it was just a great match, great finish. You could have justified Sheamus and Cesaro even going over in that match because he protected Rollins and Ambrose enough. It was a great, great match. And even the women's match, even though a lot of these women's multi-person matches get a little bit crazy, like they always come off rushed most of the time when they do them, it still wasn't a bad match. It wasn't bad. It was one of their better ones when you had the multiple contenders in the match. So I thought that was okay. Now you get the 2 main events, and that's where the discussion's to be had here, because you had 2 WrestleMania caliber matches, 2 matches that people have been waiting for. All right. Now look, in the Roman Reigns Cena match, is Roman winning something that wasn't expected? No, because look, the fact of the matter is, I think some of us were hoping it was going to be a series, but the only way that doesn't become a series of matches, the only way that becomes a series of matches if Cena's going to be around, and he's not going to be around. So knowing that he's not going to be around, you're not going to revisit this. Roman winning makes the most sense. I didn't think it was a bad match. I thought it was an okay match. I thought the problem is when you build up a match and it becomes essentially a finisher fest, and then you have Roman Reigns kick out of like 4 of Cena's big moves, and then he just wins with his spear, and Cena never kicks out of one of his his big finisher. To me, it just undercuts everything John Cena is. I understand he's older. I understand it's passing the torch and whatever. To me, it would have been better to have him kick out of at least the spear once. I think that would have helped. Plus, it would have milked some drama. To me, the problem I have with these Roman coronation matches, okay, whether it's the Triple H, the Undertaker, and the Undertaker one was a special circumstance, I get it. But the problem I have with these matches, there's no drama. There's no buildup. There's no big moment. The only one where there was kind of a big moment was in the Brock Lesnar, but he didn't even win. The Brock Lesnar match at 31, I felt they were building to something. And even though I didn't want it, I felt there was moments there like, oh, wow, you could actually feel some like a story being told, and it's building and it's building and it's building. Ever since then, his big matches, there's never any story. He does a good job. But when it's this big coronation moment, whether it's a Mania match or a match like he had with Cena, it always feels like rushed, and it feels so flat. It falls so flat. You know, it just falls so flat. All that buildup, all that hype, all those promos, and then to have Cena just, oh, I'm going to raise your hand. I mean, come on. You said all those things, all of a sudden you just forget about them. I mean, I know it's wrestling, but come on. I mean, to me, it was just, the whole thing was just, this felt completely flat. Cena's moment at the end was good. The stuff on Raw Talk was good. That stuff was good. But to me, they got to do, if you're going to push somebody and you're going to coronate somebody, regardless of what the fans are going to, at least make an effort to make it a moment. And it's not a moment when it just falls flat. There's no buildup within the match. It's just finisher, finisher, finisher. I'm going to kick out of 4 of yours, and you're not going to kick out of mine. To me, that's not buildup. That's poor. That's very poor storytelling in the ring. Now, the main event. Well, the Cruiserweight match was terrible, but we all knew what was going to happen there. I said it was going to happen. Enzo was going to win cheaply. It's going to be a double turn, heel turn thing, and that's exactly what happened. So that one was predictable, and it was stupid. And that's probably why they gave it the death swap between the 2 main events, because they knew what they were going to do and knew people weren't going to give a shit. So that's the way it goes. All right, so the main event. I mean, you might as well have looked back at the Samoa Joe match from a couple months ago, because that was the same paint-by-numbers booking this was. All right, it shows that they never were going to veer from their plan. It was always going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. They were never going to veer from their plan. It didn't matter how over Joe was, how over Strowman was. This is the way the match is going to be. And they see it as they protected these two. I don't know how it protects these two when all Brock has to do is F5 them once, and that's all that brings them down. You really can't have. It's the same thing with Roman. It's the same thing with the Roman thing. You really couldn't have them kick out of one finisher? Especially when they dominate the match. Like Braun, I mean, it's like Joe, Braun dominated the match. The only thing Brock did that was significant was the Kimura lock thing that brought him to his knees. Otherwise, Braun Strowman knocked Brock around. And of course, he couldn't do any big spots outside the ring because Reigns and Cena did, and we can't have them outshadowed. So to me, the whole thing was just a farce. I didn't think it was a good match at all. I thought Braun did okay at the beginning, but then, to me, it was just a farce. And it was the worst way to book it. If you're going to have Rock go over, you could have did a no contest. You could have did any other thing. Have somebody interfere. Or at least have Strowman kick out of 1 F5. I mean, ridiculous. It was a Joe match all over again. This with the Kimura lock being a key part of it instead of what they did at Joe's match. So to me, just terrible, terrible booking. And it took the air completely out of the show. Those last 2 matches, the last part of the show, particularly those 2 main events, just did not live up to the hype at all. They were very, very disappointing. And Raw tried to make up for it by having Braun Strowman destroy people, Ambrose, Kurt Hawkins, and then they have him destroy Enzo after the show, which was a nice crowd pleasing moment. You could have him destroy as many people. We all know Braun Strowman can destroy everybody else on the roster. The problem is you booked him as a monster that could beat Brock Lesnar and didn't go through with it. So it doesn't matter. Eventually, people will forget, but you had a moment here and you didn't do it because you just didn't want to derail your plans. Okay, whatever. We can all. I'm angry about it. I'm frustrated about it. But what are you going to do? Everybody is. All right, and no matter what you did on Raw, you weren't going to make up for that. And they tried. Everything was try Operation put Braun Strowman over. It doesn't matter how many times Braun Strowman goes over everybody else. You didn't put him over Lesnar, and that was the one that would have finished it off. So, you have that. Obviously, they're setting up something with Reigns and Miz. It's going to be the Shield reunion versus Miz Taraj, which is fine. I know people think it's kind of anticlimactic, consider it like The Rock and Cena versus R-Truth and the Miz. Whatever. I think it's cool. It's a nice thing to do. It's a match I can buy Reigns in at this point and enjoy Reigns in at this point. So I don't have an issue with it, especially since you don't have any contenders in the tag team division for Ambrose and Rollins at the moment. So you might as well do it. So I don't have an issue with that. They spent a lot of time building that up. I thought that was fine. The women's match, the women's stuff was fine. They're building up to Nia and Alexa. The stuff with Bayley and Sasha is getting interesting, I think. So there's some good stuff there as well. I didn't think the show was bad. I thought I liked the cruiserweight thing at the end. I think that's interesting. I'm going to wait and see. Obviously, now they have to have Kurt Angle go back on his word because everybody attacked Enzo. So now what? You don't have any contenders for the title? I'm assuming they're just have him go back on his word next week and say that there's no contact clause is not valid anymore. So, because otherwise you have nobody to contend for the title because everybody attacked him. And I like that angle. I thought that was a cool angle. They're using the heat he has backstage, using it to further his heel turn. They did a very good heel turn, double turn their heel Enzo and face Neville. I thought they did a very good job. And I think that whole ending segment was worthy. I'm glad they gave him the main event, even though it's only because of Enzo and because of football. That's why they do it. We all know with football and other things going on, they kind of book the show, big moments around certain things. But I think it benefited them here, and it was a cool moment to put that cruiserweight moment in the main event. It was a good segment. So all in all, I didn't think Raw was. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. It was kind of just there, and now that's kind of going to be the way it's going to be the rest of the year because we don't have a Universal title on the show. There's rumors that the Universal title might be defended at Survivor Series. So if that's the case, then fine. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I buy that, but that would be helpful though. But yeah. So I didn't think Raw was too bad at all. And No Mercy, I thought the first half was fantastic. The second half was a disappointment. So I'm going to throw to Mike now, let him get his thoughts in on No Mercy and Raw. And we'll talk about Smackdown when he's done, Mike. Mike, are you with us?
Well, I was, and then I tuned out because I found on YouTube. Because on YouTube you could find everything but pornography, basically. And he remixed Seth Rollins' theme song. But the music, it was just a compilation of Seth Rollins laughing. Oh, Seth Rollins has that annoying fucking laugh. So it was a worthwhile watch. So we're talking about No Mercy, right?
No Mercy. I threw my thoughts on Raw in there as well. Only thing I didn't talk about was SmackDown, but
We'll get to SmackDown. SmackDown was I don't know if SmackDown was a better show, but it had the hotter segments.
Right.
Mercy. Half of No Mercy, as you probably indicated that I would say earlier, was half of a great show. The other half fell between nonsense and total shit. Total shit. So, I mean, yes, Jason Jordan versus The Miz was actually a really solid match. People were kind of buying into Jason Jordan's offense for a little bit, but I don't think anybody ever bought that Jason Jordan would actually win the title, and he didn't. He lost pretty convincingly. The face promo that he tried to cut afterwards was pretty terrible. I think it was a missed opportunity to probably turn him heel, but I think they're committed to the Jason Jordan face act for a little bit longer. So, I mean, the match that I remember happening next was Cesaro and Sheamus versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, which I know for a fact wasn't next. So let me look that up. Let me look that up. But I will say, let's see, the WWE. That's not it. I will say that the best match. It was easily the best tag team match this year, and that's saying something. But easily the best tag team match this year was Cesaro and Sheamus versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. That was just an exciting match from beginning to end. It was absolutely fantastic. It built the emotion well, built the suspense. There were a lot of amazing spots. A lot of amazing spots in that match. Fantastic. I thought they might have run the title change when they did the when Rollins when they tried to do the same finish as SummerSlam, and Rollins tried to do the knee to knee to I guess it was Cesaro, while Sheamus had Ambrose up for the white noise, and Cesaro just catches Rollins. Just fantastic. Sheamus's white noise, and then Cesaro just power bombs Rollins right on him. Oh my God, that was such an amazing match. And looking at it, I mean, it only went 16 minutes. That match was about 16 minutes long. It felt like 25, and I felt like I got my money's worth. What an amazing, amazing match that was. Ambrose and Rollins retain. I guess Seth Rollins' knee is now called King's Landing because Game of Thrones is a real thing, despite it being disappointing, but that's just my opinion. Totally forgot about happening, of course, was Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, which I thought was the end of this feud. I did. And you know what? The match itself was great. Bray Wyatt attacks him before the bell. He brags about it. It's like, Finn, you expected this to be man to man, but I am a god. Okay. And then Finn Balor beats Bray Wyatt with the coup de grace. Great match. Yeah, it was great. It was a very good match. It was really entertaining. Thought the feud would end. Totally wrong. I will say that Bliss retaining over Bayley, Emma, Nia, and Sasha was actually pretty good. And only got like 9 minutes. A little surprising it didn't get a lot of time, but they wanted to save it for Roman Reigns and John Cena. Sworn Nia Jax was winning the title here. I could have sworn, probably not. I guess they're going to keep Bliss strong for a while. Well, at least until Nia. I guess Asuka's first program on the main roster is not going to be Nia Jax. I think they're going to save that feud for down the road, even though if WWE is smart, we know how that ends. I'm surprised Bayley took the fall here. I would have sworn Sasha Banks would. Maybe she was, but she didn't end up taking the fall this night. Let's get into Roman versus Cena. Roman versus Cena. I thought it was fine. Was it the epic confrontation that I was hoping for? Absolutely not. It was certainly not that epic confrontation. Especially not the epic confrontation all those promos were building up to. I mean, it was a big match. It was a big match. Roman, Cena was good. They didn't have that great chemistry. Nothing really flowed together. It was just like spot, 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 AA, spot, 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 AA, spot, spot, super AA, spot, 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 AA, spot, 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 table spot, 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 Superman punch spear out of nowhere. So, I mean, it was what it was. Roman, I always felt was going over. The only way I think that we get that rematch is if I think Cena could be his WrestleMania program, but obviously I don't think it's going to be anymore. It probably was at one point, but it's probably not now. We're definitely going to get the other one. Braun versus Brock, I thought had the potential to be one of the most important matches they could have had. WWE could have had in years. Opportunity to make a new star. It was your opportunity to say, this guy is 100% made, and now he's going to carry our brand. Braun Strowman, who had built up to be essentially a once-in-a-lifetime talent, and unfortunately, once Brock put on that Kimura lock, right downhill. Because once you hit the Kimura lock, and once Braun couldn't pin Brock on any of those power slams, it's like, we're committed to another 6 months of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. This is it. This is it. You're not going to see the WWE Universal Championship on Raw until January. You're not. The title is not going to be in a Survivor Series match like it was last year. The title is not going to be defended at TLC. It's not going to be defended at Roadblock. It's not going to be defended at any other show until the Royal Rumble. Wasted the brand, the title. You have wasted Braun Strowman's opportunity to be the guy. Because now we're going on 4 years now. Committed to giving Roman Reigns another glory moment. And after this, what's left? What's left? I mean, that's the critique. What's left for Roman Reigns? I didn't even talk about Enzo and Neville. But Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar could have been the defining moment of this current era for Raw. And it wasn't, because we have to waste another push of Roman Reigns. And by the way, Neville versus Enzo was total shit. Enzo had to win. He had to win dirty. Enzo is building Enzo to be the guy who doesn't deserve to be the title, and he's the guy you are get his ass kicked. But the problem is, we've seen him get his ass kicked a lot. It's obvious he cannot hang with any of the cruiserweights. Fortunately, none of the cruiserweights can hang with his mouth. So it's kind of like, but we need each other. You fucking. But here's my problem. Austin Aries off at the knees, and I guarantee you, if Austin Aries got the cruiserweight title, he would still be employed by WWE today. Go all in on Austin Aries at WrestleMania. And on Aries at WrestleMania. You don't need Bray. You don't. Aries is a better talker and a better wrestler. Enzo. But all right, we're going to save Enzo. We're going to save it. We're going to save it. All right, so we're going to save Neville. Okay, we had Jack Gallagher. We're over hard. Nope, we can't go with Jack Gallagher. We don't think Jack Gallagher's ready. All right, we got TJ Perkins again. Doing some good work, or TJP, excuse me. That name's stupid, but whatever. No, we don't want to go back to TJP. We got to save Neville for somebody special. Awa is getting himself over with the company. He is a cruiserweight, getting a reaction and having good matches, and Titus O'Neil is keeping him fresh. All right, well, we have to do Tozawa. We did Tozawa for a week, and Neville gets the title back, and now we're throwing Tozawa out the window. All right, so we wasted Tozawa. And we saved him for Enzo Amore, who is on the downturn of his career. I mean, he's flaming out pretty hard, right? Mm-hmm. Hard. You said by next June, off air, by next June, we'd be surprised if Enzo still has a career. Yeah, I agree with that now. I agree with that wholeheartedly. That Enzo doesn't care. When this all started, they trusted him. They were entrusting him to carry the division, but I think it's clear Enzo doesn't care about carrying the division. He cares about the Enzo brand. Fun fact, Enzo brand. If there was an Enzo brand, they wouldn't send Braun Strowman out 2 weeks in a row to wreck your shit and then put it as a featured video on YouTube. The way, wrecking Enzo's shit after Neville wrecked Enzo's shit. The division wrecked Enzo's shit was easily the best part of Monday Night Raw by a landslide. Best part of Raw. In fact, I didn't really remember too much other on Raw. I mean, Miz got a decent segment out of Roman Reigns. The Miz Taraj beat the shit out of Roman Reigns after Roman pinned the Miz. The Intercontinental title, Brian? Is going to win the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think
I do.
So. I think the Miz Taraj is going to just... I thought the Braun Strowman segments were good, but after No Mercy, Strowman segments feel kind of lacking. The thing Braun Strowman did, everything they're doing, based at the altar of Roman Reigns, and you know what? I asked you this question on Monday, and I said it earlier tonight. What else? WrestleMania next year, because that's what we're getting. Roman Reigns again, the Universal title, much like they gave him the WWE title and the Undertaker's legacy. For Roman Reigns. More can we do? At what point can we say, officially, after everything, the experiment has failed? Now, I'm not saying that he's not a star. Clear and pretty well established. But at what point can we say that Roman Reigns, being the focal point of WWE, has completely and utterly failed? It's more of a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. He has literally gone over, except for Nakamura and Bobby Roode. And don't worry about it. He'll probably get to them. Can we say, and Joe? No, he beat Joe, I think. I don't know, maybe.
He didn't beat Joe.
Say the Roman experience. He didn't beat Joe yet? He probably will. So. We say it failed. He'll have gone over Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Triple H, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, beat them all. He beat Kevin Owens. He's beaten Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Beat Sheamus times. At what point? He's gone over almost every WWE champion since except for Edge, like John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Edge. He's gone over Kane. He's gone over Randy Orton. He's gone over Jinder a lot. He's gone over Rusev. Braun Strowman once. At what point can we say the Roman experiment has officially and conclusively failed? Well, you don't have to answer that. I mean, you're welcome to answer it if you actually have an answer.
I do.
But it's
I just didn't sure if you were done. I wasn't sure if you were done. That's why I didn't want to interrupt you. So,
go ahead.
No, I think Look, we all know it's failed. The problem is the person that makes the decisions doesn't think it will ever fail. He thinks he's gotten to the point now where he thinks that everything that Roman does is still. I mean, you and me talked about this off the air. It's the whole Punk thing again.
More
Remember?
than once.
Yeah, he's a millionaire, but he could be a billionaire. It's the old thing. Well, we're successful. We're still successful. We're still doing this. Because here's the thing. I think everybody will admit, as far as ratings go and other aspects of the entertainment industry, the game has changed now. Okay, so ratings are going down for everything. It's just the nature of the beast. All right, there's more ways to watch things. You're watching on different platforms, so it's hard to really get a read on those. Right, so you can't use the ratings argument. I think that's a flawed argument to use. But you can use attendance at events, attendance at pay-per-views, buys for pay-per-views. You can use those kind of things. I think those are still relatively consistent ways to measure your success, correct? So
yeah, merchandise sales. Merchandise sales is a great way.
Exactly, merchandise sales.
The tried and true method has usually been fan reaction.
Right.
Are you drawing as a competitor?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Merchandise.
So, see,
but now you can't really say that because ratings for everybody's down.
Right. We've had this discussion where it's like, now for Vince, it's like I think he's bought into the idea that any reaction is a good reaction. And you remember there was a time when that never used to be the case. Well, the guy has to be over. And when Cena was getting that divisive reaction, they were always worried about it. They were worried about it for the longest time, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're just going to go with it. Remember, then they were like, oh, we're going to ignore it, and then it's like, oh, we're just going to go with it. He's just a polarizing character, and that's what and Roman Reigns. That's how they treated it at the beginning, like, we're going to ignore. Oh no, he's a polarizing character. Now it's like, well, we know he gets the reaction. Now, to Vince's credit, okay, I understand that Roman, more so now than maybe 2 years ago, Roman does draw, okay. But here's the thing that I think is very, very important to know about Roman Reigns, okay? Roman Reigns draws, but who's he in the ring with?
What segments with Roman Reigns draw?
Because here's the thing. You think about the past, you think about what Roman Reigns has done the last year. I would say he's become more of a draw. The whole idea is that in the last year and a half, his merch is moving a little bit and he's a draw. But think of the matches and the feuds that Roman Reigns has had in the last year and a half. Let's think about that. What, Triple H, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we went from Triple H to AJ Styles. AJ Styles, we went into the Shield feud, right, with Ambrose and Rollins, right? And then you come out of that, and what did they do with Reigns? They pushed him a little, but it was with Rusev. But then right out of that, he was thrown right back into the middle of everything.
With
with Owens and Strowman,
mm-hmm.
and then he gets The Undertaker. And then after Undertaker, he gets back into the ring with Strowman and guys like Joe and Rollins. He's always around a top pro, and he's in the ring with other guys that are proven draws. So naturally, if you keep putting him with these guys, the segments are going to draw. Think back to those times when he was on the top of the heap and he wasn't with a major name. Those segments did not draw. So this is what I mean. It's like you can take anything and twist it to fit your own narrative. But Vince is going to be doing that because he's insistent that this is the guy and this is the guy. He can't. At this point, I think it's more about him not being wrong than it is about any benefits Roman Reigns can give you as your top guy. And here's the thing. Roman Reigns can be a top guy. I don't argue with that notion. You want to make Reigns one of your guys, that's fine. I don't think anybody has an issue with that in theory. But making him the guy is the problem. Pushing him, making everything about him. You could tell that with Vince, he doesn't care about anything else but what Roman Reigns does. Everything else has to, like, you will even look at the pay-per-view. They have to book matches so that they don't outshine whatever match Roman Reigns is in.
I mean, they can't help it if they do. Because let's be clear here.
It did.
Cesaro match last night was easily one of the best matches WWE has run in years.
Yeah. Yes.
They'll hand wave it. They'll hand wave it because it's like, oh, build. the other Shield guys were in that.
Right.
You know, wave it that way. But let's face it, Ambrose, Rollins, Sheamus, and Cesaro put on one of the best matches WWE has run in an extraordinarily long time.
Agreed. It was booked like an NXT match.
And it didn't go long. It felt longer, but it didn't go long.
No, but it was a good match. It was well built. And that's the thing.
It was a fantastic match.
And that's the thing.
Fantastic match.
And this is the thing. I think that, people keep saying complacency and all this. If you look at the trajectory of this, if we go back to when the Roman Reigns push began in earnest, which was that infamous Royal Rumble, right? If you think back to that, think about this company and how many times we've been on the air. And there's been some good moments here and there, but they're few and far between. Think about this company and how many times we've come on here saying how bad it is and how bad Raw was, how boring it was, how the only segments that did anything were the segments that involved Reigns, because that's the match, that's the one that they have to make the most impactful, because that's the one they care about.
Here's the problem with that, though. It's not Roman, it's who he's in the ring with.
Correct.
Roman, it's who he's with.
And look,
and let's be honest here. Roman has been interesting this year because who has he been in the ring with?
Oh, God.
Braun Strowman, Joe. The two hottest guys on the Raw roster until this point.
Right. And here's the
Joe
thing. And one of the best periods of the last couple of years that they've had on the show with Raw was last fall when Owens had the title and you had the Jericho stuff and, we were at the beginning of Braun's push. But think about that. Would any of that have even happened if Roman Reigns didn't get popped for the wellness?
Maybe not.
But we know for a fact the odds in that match flipped the night that he was facing
Rollins.
It flipped. Rollins won the match, and then you knew that they were going to avoid him winning the Shield match because of that. And then they pushed him down the card to Rusev for a couple months, and then they stuck him back in it. And they're like, well, at that point, they had decided they're going to give Roman Reigns to The Undertaker. So because of that, they weren't going to go in on Roman Reigns as the Universal title holder. So that kept him away. And the only reason why you got any of this is because Roman got popped. Otherwise, this all would have happened sooner. We wouldn't even have that period of decent stuff. And there's some people out there like, oh, let's just get it done and over if it's inevitable, and then maybe things will get better.
Going to get better. That's what we're trying to argue.
No,
it's not going to get better.
Because when he goes over Brock, he's going to be like, well, who else hasn't he gone over? Oh, can Goldberg work another match?
Let's say Goldberg works one more match, and let's be honest here. Goldberg has no interest in working another match.
Well, he indicated recently in an interview last week that he would consider it. He did. First time
he would consider it, but you get one match out of that. That is legitimately it.
No, he'd do it.
All right, so Roman goes over Goldberg. Okay. What after that? A return match with The Undertaker? Okay. Okay, what after that?
Yeah. No.
Maybe Roman versus Shane. We haven't done Roman versus Shane yet. What's next?
Yeah. No, you're right.
What's next?
You're right.
At the point, we don't have anything left for Roman to do.
People like to point to John Cena and, they did this for John. They didn't do this for John Cena. It took it took a long time for Cena to go over a lot of these guys. It took a long time. That's not to say, but then the feud lasted longer in a lot of ways. But they didn't do this. They didn't. It took time for Cena to go over a lot of these guys. So that it was by the time you got to the point where John Cena was had been in the company 6, 7, 8, 9 years. That was when you started looking at wow, John Cena finally did that. We're only on year 3 of this, and Roman Reigns gone over everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just to me, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And you heard me what I said earlier about the match. The match itself was okay, but it didn't even feel like a moment. None of these moments feel like moments to me. The only time I felt like they had a moment with Roman Reigns, and again, I didn't want it to happen in that match. I'm glad it didn't happen in that match. But if you watch that Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match at 31, that match you felt like if they again didn't want it to happen, but if they did it that night, at least you would have felt like it was a moment. For better or worse, because the match was built up and treated like that. You felt the momentum shifts. You felt it building towards something big. In all these matches, Triple H, Undertaker, that none of these matches have felt like it at the end. I didn't feel anything. And it's not just because, oh, well, I don't want Roman to be the face of the company, blah, 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 blah. It's because the storytelling in the ring, all right, nothing built up to, there was no drama, there was nothing. It was nothing. And it should have been. Based on the way you built that match, they built that match very, very well. Based on the way you built that match over the month that you had that feud going, this match should have had more feeling behind it, more sentiment behind it. The only time I felt anything was with Cena in the ring after the match and on Raw Talk. And that was for Cena, it wasn't for Roman.
Cena. And eventually Cena got a thank you Cena. It wasn't anything about Roman. It
No.
had nothing to It had everything to do with John Cena.
And I'm not blaming the guys in the ring for that. All right, they were told what to do. I read enough in the last couple of days to know that Vince was very hands-on with both main events in terms of what he wanted and what couldn't happen. It was dictated that Cena would not kick out of Roman's finisher, but Roman would kick out of 4 of his big moves. It was dictated that Braun Strowman would go down to 1 F5.
Because Roman Reigns has to get out of at least 2 F5s. That's how it is, because Roman has to be the superhero. Right.
So to me, again, if you had taken the time to build these matches and let these guys, think of the booking of the tag match and book it those 2 main events that way where everybody looks strong. You might not like the result, but at least you can say, well, geez, you know what? They did a good job there. I still feel like
I would have been like, damn, I would have gotten my money's worth.
Exactly.
Had everything felt like the tag team championship match. And that's what it's all about.
Exactly. I 100% agree.
Vince McMahon is I'm obviously you and CM Punk said it best.
Mm-hmm.
A millionaire who should be a billionaire.
Yep.
And who is getting in his own way? He's the only guy getting in his own way.
He could make a lot more money. It's almost you're settling. You're not knowingly settling, but you are if you think about it, because you're like, well, geez, our revenue's still up. Yeah, but it could be more.
Instead of just Roman Reigns, you could have built Braun Strowman as a mega attraction. You could have built Joe as a major attraction. Finn Balor could be important.
Well,
Sami Zayn could be the traditional babyface guy that you want to win.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting in the next 3 weeks if the rumor's true that they're going to build Finn Balor up to feed to Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series.
I don't even think Brock Lesnar's going to be at Survivor Series.
I didn't think so either, but there's rumors, and apparently they announced them for the Raw before Survivor Series now. So there's some talk that Lesnar might defend the title at Survivor Series. There's talk.
I don't even think that's a possibility.
Even still, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Because it doesn't matter who's going to – I mean, if Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe didn't do it, you think Finn Balor's going to do it? How do you even sell that?
Good luck.
How do you even remotely sell that match?
You don't. You can't.
The only match that you could conceivably do with Brock Lesnar defending the title that people are going to buy into, and even that it's a stretch at this point because the way you did it, is if you have a triple threat with Joe and Strowman. And say the 2 guys that came the closest face them. That's the only match that you could conceivably do that people are going to buy. Because then they can both kind of team up and gang up on Brock Lesnar and try to pin. And then, you know what I mean? There's ways you can do that. How the hell? I mean, come on now. Morons. Unbelievable. Oh, so Smackdown. Like, you talked about Smackdown, have you?
I haven't talked about SmackDown.
Okay.
It's been all about Raw all the time.
Let's talk about SmackDown.
So let's talk about SmackDown.
Yeah, let's do that because SmackDown had some interesting things. I won't say the gender. I can't believe they bothered to do that Jinder Shinsuke thing again. I can't believe they even. Come on! Oh my God! Like, are you? Forget it. I mean, I want to talk about this thing. It was awful.
I will say having Shinsuke come out and assault the Singh brothers was essentially the logical conclusion to that little segment.
Yeah, I mean, at least they did that this week. That was about the only decent thing they did with that. But
look, let's call a spade a spade. The gender shit needs to end.
It desperately needs.
And unfortunately, we're getting. And you know what? We're gonna pick no Hell in a Cell soon anyway. And unfortunately, I'm like I don't want to admit it. You know, I don't want to admit this because. And you have said all along that the Jinder Mahal thing needed to end at SummerSlam. It needs to end here. You know it's not.
It's not. Nope. It's not. I'm convinced. Look, here's the thing. If they get through this paper, we talked about it on the air. I'll say it again. If we get through this pay-per-view, the title, I mean, there's rumors about the Universal title being defended at Survivor Series. There's no rumors about the WWE title.
No. Jinder Mahal is going to be in the SmackDown versus Raw match.
Yeah. So this means that unless they put something on SmackDown, which they could always do, okay, they could always have the title defend on SmackDown. But look, the very big likelihood is that Jinder Mahal will go into the new year as champion. I don't think they pull the trigger on his reign at the Clash of the Champions. So I think he'll at least go into the Rumble as champion. I believe that unless they do something now, and look, they haven't indicated that they are.
They might do it at Clash of Champions. I think they might do it because they always like doing something at that show that's major.
I hope you're right. I wish they do it now, but yeah, I hope you're right.
I agree. I wholeheartely agree.
I don't even care if it's not Shinsuke. I don't care what you do. Just do something. Just do something at this point because this is terrible. You watched. I don't know if you watched the full show, but you know what? Do you know what segment they had Jinder and Shinsuke in? They've had the same segment for the last maybe 2-3 weeks. But you know what segment they're in?
It was early, I thought.
It's like 8:30.
8:30.
They're stuck in the part of the show that they usually relegate to like nobody. Now, I'm not mean offense by that, but you know what I mean. To a segment like Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley or something. You know what I mean?
Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley played a part in a more important segment, which of course was the New Day.
Yes.
Which is confirmed to be in Hell in a Cell. And you know what? That deserves to be in a cell. I am looking forward to that match.
Yes.
Do I think the Usos are going to win? Hell no, I don't. But I think that match is going to be fan-fucking-tastic.
They've done a very good job with this feud. I mean, we've seen this feud before, but it feels completely different. This has been a really good tag feud, no doubt. They've done a really good job.
I think this match is going to be great. It's going to be great.
I do too. I agree, and the only reason why they waited because I think they wanted to make sure Kofi was okay before they announced the match. But yeah, this is going to be a good match. And that was a good segment, and you know I like that they're even doing the Ryder Mojo stuff. It's all predictable. We knew it was coming. But yeah, they did what they've done in the last couple of weeks. They bookended the show with the Owens Shane program, which is the #1 program, and now you see what they've been saying that we know, even though we've already known this. But they're calling it the main event.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They're calling it now. So they're openly saying it now. But good start to the show. And, you know, they involve Sami Zayn in it. And I think this was their way. Again, I told you this off the air. But I think what they did on Tuesday was their way of writing Sami Zayn off until they have something for him to do. Because
it'll be a while.
The Mike Kanellis thing was supposed to be his feud. They're off screen. So that's why they had to, you know, because of Maria being pregnant, congratulations to them. That's why they had to do this. They just had nothing for Sammy. So, you know, they run the spot at the end of the show, which I think is going to write him off probably for a little bit, maybe a few weeks. I don't know. Owens came off very good there. I love how he threw Sami Zayn into Shane McMahon.
Chair first, by the way. Chair first.
They're really look. This is the Owens that everybody kind of wants to see. This is the, against the corporate establishment. He's just they're doing a good job with this right now. This is a very hot angle. Shane's doing his part. Obviously, they have to build Shane up so that when Owens beats him, I've seen people saying that Shane's going to go over here. I don't know how he goes over here. I really don't. But I think I mean, people are like, oh, if they're going to turn Owens face, Shane has to go over. I don't understand that. But
Nope.
I don't think Shane's not going over here. The only thing we know about Shane McMahon is he's going to do some kind of crazy spot. And by the way, I'm not going to say where I read this, but there's a person online that has been very good about like different. They post different things about WWE, and sometimes I don't know if they know somebody. I don't know if they're like the people that did the odds or anything. Or they get things right all the time, but they've had some things right in the past. They said the speculation is that the spot that he's going to do is have an Owens power bomb him off the show through a table.
That makes sense. The spots I was kind of envisioning, yeah.
That's the rumor. A lot of people say, well, maybe he'll power bomb him through the cell, but the talk is he's going to power bomb off the cell through the announce table. That's the rumor. So he's nuts. He's nuts. But I mean, that would certainly be a moment. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting match. It's a match that a lot of people are looking forward to. It's been well built. I think it does lead into more McMahon stuff with Kevin Owens. I think this is what Owens is going to be doing from now till April because there's nothing better for him to be doing than this.
And honestly, and this is my feeling too, and I know you probably share the sentiment. This is where the title is going to be. I think a lot of people think that the WWE title has been devalued a little bit because of Jinder. Jinder hasn't worked hard. It's
not Jinder's fault
right now. But the interest in Jinder's title reign is just not there. This is the number one feud on SmackDown. The title is going to be in that feud.
Yeah, they're going to transition. They're going to transition into this for WrestleMania season. I think it's pretty obvious. Definitely, it reminds you of those hot angles, like the Orton Triple H angle. Remember that? Like it's got that feel to it, where it's just like the McMahons are going to get involved. It's going to be this big thing, and it's going to dominate the entire show. It just has that feel. Like it's a good feud. Good, I mean, good for them. They built it well. It's working. And other than that, I thought the Orton Rusev stuff was okay. I thought that was. I like Aiden English kind of working with Rusev. That was cool. I thought that was okay. The woman's. Go ahead.
Rusev proves to be an MVP of the show every time he's on. 100%.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you got the woman stuff, which wasn't bad with Natalya and Charlotte and Carmella, and that wasn't bad. We got a promo that the Fashion Files returns next week, which is nice. Everybody's been missing that. So it wasn't a bad SmackDown. The Jinder stuff was terrible. The tag stuff was good. The Owen stuff was great. I thought it was okay. So, Mike, you have anything you want to add?
No, the Owen stuff, Owen Sammy stuff. Look, a lot of people are complaining. Oh, why are they going back to Owens and Sammy? Didn't they say they weren't? That was going to be the last. That was going to be the last time they're going to wrestle. No, feud was done for now. They were closing that chapter of their lives. So everything that happened after that, really, like this is how I'm interpreting it anyway.
Right.
It's essentially the next chapter in their story, where they're still opposed, foes. And it doesn't mean that they can't wrestle anymore because, good Lord, they wrestled like 4 times when Owens was Universal Champion. It means that to wrestle as much really touched on SmackDown.
Right.
They wrestled each other on SmackDown. That's important to note. But do wrestle. It's important. And I think that match on SmackDown was rather important, and it was good. Why are you guys complaining over good matches?
I know, right?
Don't complain when we get quality. That's like saying you want shit, and we don't want shit. We want quality. That's all I gotta say.
I forgot one other thing. Ziggler and Bobby Roode.
That was fine.
That was fine.
We know what was going to happen.
Ziggler did get some big heat there. He did a good job, and Bobby Roode was awesome. It worked. It's a good feud for him. It's nice to see Bobby doing something. So, and Dolph really. So, a couple other little things is the whole Bullet Club thing when they invaded Raw. Outside. Make a big story. They try to do a big storyline there, and apparently now the Young Bucks got a cease and desist from WWE because they're using the Too Sweet stuff, I guess. So that's going about that. Yeah, there's a big thing about that. Jeff Hardy is injured. He has a torn labrum and a torn rotator cuff. Everybody wants to know how long. So he's gonna have the surgery, I guess, on October 2nd, which is Monday. Everyone wants to know how long he's gonna be out. Now, it depends. There's rumors that he's gonna be on air throughout this in another row. Depends on how you heal. There's been people that have the normal recovery time, I think, is 6 months, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Would put him near WrestleMania right after. We'll see. You'll probably see Matt get a singles push out of this here, but I don't know in what capacity, but they'll do something with him. They're not just not going to use him. That's for sure. So we'll see how that develops. I don't know. It sucks. I guess the rotator cuff thing has been an issue since July, and he's been working with it. The labrum's the more recent issue, I guess, but it is what it is. It sucks for Jeff. We wish him well. Hopefully everything works out. All right, so we got through all the wrestling stuff. That's all the big wrestling news that was out there. We talked about Raw, talked about Smackdown, talked about No Mercy. We'll obviously preview Hell in a Cell next week, which will be a big – all the matches have been announced. We'll go over all the matches next week and make predictions, all that stuff. That'll be next Thursday. It won't be an all-wrestling show, but we will do that stuff next Thursday. I said I'd add something. I said I was going to add some sports stuff tonight because as I said, this is a story, and this is going to be quick. This is a story that I think you have to talk about as you go, as things develop, because more and more stuff's going to develop. This is not going to go away. It's just not. It's sad, but it's not. As developments happen, it's one of those stories you want to talk about along the way, because like I said, by Tuesday, we might have more developments to talk about. So, obviously, yesterday, it was the college basketball world got rocked again as Rick Pitino was effectively fired. He was put on unpaid leave, but as many people I'm sure have figured out by now, or have been informed of by now, the reason why he was put on unpaid leave is because he has a clause in his contract where he has to have at least he has to have notice before he can be fired. I think it's like 10 days notice.
Yes, it's 10 days notice.
So within 10 days, he'll be fired. He's going to be fired. There's no way around it. His lawyer even said it. He's going to be fired. Tom Jurek, the AD, was fired because he would not fire Rick Pitino. He has stuck with Rick Pitino through all these scandals. It's the third one. He was asked to fire him. He refused. He said, I'll go with him, and he did. So they're both fired. Now, those are the big developments. We talked about this on the air, I think, on Tuesday, and I said we were already hearing rumblings that Rick was going to be fired. Okay? So this came as no shock. Nobody knows what the deal is going to be with Miami right now, what's going to happen there. Not enough is known. Obviously, the player in the big recruit in the Louisville thing has been named. And we'll see there. They've already I can't think of the word. Banned him from basketball activities. Now, until today, nobody had said that Rick Pitino was mentioned in the report. Now it's said that he's mentioned in the report as having contact with some of those involved in this. So now he's named. Like they said he was coach 2 or something. I don't know. They named person 2 coach 2.
He's coach. It was either coach 1 or 2, but I think he's coach 2.
Yeah, so he's in the report. So
100%.
So all right, so now it's okay. So because I know people are like, well, he's not in the report. Well, he's in the report.
He is definitely in the report.
Right. So there's a lot more than just him losing his job here that could happen. At this point. Because I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, he'll get another job in college basketball. Some mid-major will give him the job," and he ain't getting another job, folks. He's 65. He's gonna. I mean, if he was younger, I could believe in time that maybe somebody might take a chance. No, they're not going to take a chance, especially since he's got not one scandal but 3 scandals on his ledger here. Okay, it's not happening.
And not only that, I mean, this came out today too. He put out some feelers for the last few years for NBA interest because he knew in him, NBA interest in him, because he felt and he knew something was coming. And here we are.
Yeah.
By the way, there was no interest in the NBA, and nothing changed. Nothing changed.
And it's certainly not going to change now. So, yeah. Now, people have been wondering about Richard Pitino, who coaches the Minnesota. He made some comments today, which nothing earth-shattering, just support for his father and all that. But that's going to be awkward for him at Minnesota, that's for sure. And look, here's the thing. You've seen a lot of coverage from Jay Billis, Dick Vitale, who's heartbroken. And Dick, and I think the one thing you can see from all this is this is just the beginning. There is going to be so many shockwaves. This is just the beginning. This is a large investigation. There's already talk that more schools, more coaches, more people are going to get drawn into this and get arrested. Nike, I think, somebody from Nike was subpoenaed or something, I guess, or today I thought I read. I from what I heard from Vitale did an interview yesterday with I think Michael Kay, where he mentioned that there's already rumors that another witness has already said that they will flip and give them more information on some others that might be involved. And that's what's going to happen. You know that. You get some of these people and you bring them in, they're going to say, well, okay, I'm going to make a deal with you. I know others that are involved. And then you get to others, and then those people decide to flip. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I mean, the cesspool gets exposed more and more. And Jay Billis is right about this, because I read the article, the wonderful article he wrote for ESPN.com today. I don't care. This FBI investigation might bring on a lot of coaches and a lot of programs. It ain't going to clean the game up. It ain't going to do it. It's not. Money's at the source of it. You're not going to clean the game up. There's always going to be something. It just goes too deep. They have too many ways around it. It's just sad. You know, the AAU thing and the one and done. There's just too much going on. And it's been like this. There's always been this kind of shadiness and underhandedness all along. It's been there. It's always been there. It's gotten even worse with the whole one and done thing and all the other stuff and all the sneaker contracts and, you know, all that kind of, and the secret business and all that. It's just all, if you read about it, you see how intricate it is and how streamlined it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna send shockwaves through the sport for a long, long time. It's gonna be the steroid scandal, and remember how long the steroid scandal took to unfold? For years, and it's still unfolding. And look, is this gonna prevent people from watching college basketball? No, they're still gonna watch it, but you're gonna have that in the back of your mind the entire time you watch it. Like, boy, you know, who else is doing it? Because no program is exempt from this. No program. I don't care who you think is squeaky clean. You don't know. I mean, you give people the benefit. You don't know, because you don't know if something's going on behind even those head coaches that you might think are perfect. What's going on behind their back? I mean, we like to not believe these coaches when they say, "Oh, I didn't know anything." Sometimes they might not. I mean, Rick Pitino's claimed it 3 times. You can't claim it 3 times. Even Vitale, who was a good friend of Pitino, said that. He told Pitino that in a phone message, like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not buying this. The 3rd time you're still claiming that you don't know anything." I mean, at some point it wears thin. What's going to be the implication here from the NCAA? Now, there's been some speculation that the NCAA might have tipped off the FBI to starting this investigation. I don't know if I can buy that unless it was some person within the NCAA that was just fed up with the corruption and decided to act on their own. I don't know if the NCAA itself came up with this plan to tip somebody off, okay? Because they have their own issues.
Yeah, Mark Emmert.
So I don't know if they did that, but I could see somebody that's in the office like, you know what, I'm just done with this crap. I hate what's going on. I could see some innocent person doing it on their own, acting on their own. But I don't think the whole NCAA decided to do this. No way. I don't think Mark Emmert was sitting there going, well, hey, let's tip off the FBI and expose all this. I don't think that was going on.
That was literally the last thing Mark Emmert would have wanted.
Do I think they turned
the literal last thing?
Oh yeah. Do I think they turned a blind eye to it like baseball did with the steroids? Yeah, I do. I think they have to know what's going on. I think they turned a blind eye to it. Now, again, they're warning, the FBI is going out there warning other teams, you will be caught. We know how this works now and that. And that, is that going to stop anything? For now, it might. They might be extra careful. But, you know, we've seen this before. We've seen this before in college athletics where there's a punishment and then things calm down and then they go right back to doing it. Miami, how many scandals is this for Miami? You know, Miami's
a lot.
I mean, I feel like we talked about Miami and the death penalty how many times?
At least twice.
So now that's going to be interesting, and that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be asking over the next few months. What happened? What does the NCAA do? How do they get involved? Because they're going to have to get involved in this. They're going to have a say, and they're going to have to issue something. What do they do here? How do they get involved? Do they issue their own punishment? Do they wait till the FBI provides more evidence? What do they do here? Do they penalize the programs at all? Because they might say, hey, this is more on the coaches and the administration. What do they do here? Because here's the thing, okay? And I hate to say this, because I think you can't penalize innocent students. And you can't penalize, I mean, I don't want to penalize anybody that is not involved. But you have to set a standard here, too. In some way, shape, or form. Even if you don't think it will change anything, you still have to set a standard here. So, based on even what we know so far, and knowing that more could be coming and more is likely coming, I kind of think that there is no better, this is one of those cases where the death penalty for a program, it makes sense. Because you're talking, and just taking Louisville and Miami here for a second, because these are the two we're focusing on, because these are the ones we know, right? These are schools that have had repetitive scandals. And even though they've cleaned house, Miami particularly has cleaned house, Louisville hasn't yet, but they're going to. Even though they've cleaned house how many times, they still have this problem. In Miami's case, Louisville, you're about to clean house. But at some point, you have to say enough's enough. They've done this repeatedly. They've gotten themselves involved in bad stuff repeatedly. At what point do you finally say, we got to go harsh on these guys? Even if some innocents, I hate that. I hate that innocent students might be punished for this. I hate that. But you have to do something. Just to say, just to show something, show some affinity for saying we have to make a statement here. I think you have to. And I'm telling you something, even though we all thought it was a farce before, and even though we've all known the truth for a long time, anybody that watches college sports knew the whole student-athlete thing is stupid, because we know that they exploit these guys. It's like indentured servitude. You know, their likenesses, their name, their everything. They make money off these players, and they don't see any of it. We know, we've said it on the show before. We had how many special reports on college athletics talking about how I know it's complicated and I know it's not easy. There's a lot that had to be figured out, but they need to start figuring out a way to compensate these players. They have to find ways to fix this system. We talked about it, and I don't know if you're ever going to be able to completely fix it, but things need to be addressed. You can't just keep putting Band-Aids on something. You need to address these issues, because these things, look how deep this is going now. Look how corrupt this is. This is a major black cloud on a fantastic sport. And you know it's happening in college football too. So, it's in all college athletics. It's disgusting. These are universities. These are institutions of education. They parade around and say, well, we educate. We know there's student athletes. Education comes. Don't give me this crap. If education mattered, if it was all about the student themselves and what's best for them, they not only would be compensated, okay, but you wouldn't be doing what you're doing with them. How are you supposed to send a message? How are you supposed to set an example for students when you're doing this kind of garbage? How are you doing that? How is this fair? How is this an equal playing field? How is it? I mean, there's so many things to this that are just disgusting and revolting and just beyond, like, I don't even know. It's not like people didn't suspect that there was dirty dealings, that there was this underbelly. It's not like people didn't know these things. People knew these things, okay? People understood these things. Even if you didn't know the specifics, you knew that there was a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on. And now that we get some details about it, now that it's starting to be exposed and things are starting to come to light, this shows you just how bad it really is, and how disgusting it is, and how these are academic institutions, these are colleges, universities. And this whole narrative that the NCAA had, oh, education and student athletes, and it's all about them, and we can't paying them. It's that this ain't the NBA, it's not the pros, it's not a business or whatever. Bullshit. Stop with the nonsense. Stop trying to peddle your hot garbage. We all know the truth. We've known it before now. Now we definitely know it. So you can't parade that crap out there anymore. You can't. You can't. Nobody bought it before, and they're certainly not going to buy it now. And as a fan of the sport, it's disgusting and it's heartbreaking. Anybody that cares about the sport, you've heard it from them the last couple of days. They're heartbroken because even though they knew that there was some things going on, even though they knew that there was shadiness and it's corrupt, to have this come out and to see Hall of Fame coaches and all the things that are going on here is just sad. It's sad that it's involving universities and colleges and academic institutions, and it's just sad. There's a lot of sad things going on in the world, a lot of horrible things going on in the world, and obviously there's, and this is another thing to add to the pile because of how just corrupt institutions that are supposed to be shining examples are. Now, one other thing, and I'll be done. A lot of people wonder what this means for the teams themselves. I don't think anything's going to happen at Miami. Miami's expected to be good this year. I don't think Jim Arenaga is going to get fired. I mean, I don't think he had anything unless he had something to do with it. Okay. He hasn't been at Miami long enough to, I don't think, really have anything much to do with it. I don't think he would have anyway. Who knows? As for Louisville, they have to hire a coach. I think they're going to change over the whole coaching staff. It's been said that they probably will. They're going to name an interim coach soon. A lot of people think that they might just bring an interim coach in and then go hire a permanent coach next year after next season. I don't know. I know people have mentioned Tom Crean, Greg Marshall. Honestly, I don't think you get Greg Marshall. I don't think you'd get Greg Marshall until after this year, if you could. I don't even know if you'd want to be involved in this right now. And remember, that's the other thing too. A lot of coaches are going to shy away from this thing because they're going to be afraid if there's an NCAA punishment. It could. I mean, they're going to be afraid of that. Like, oh well, will my team be banned from the postseason? I mean, I don't know if it's going to be that easy to go out and get somebody. I mean, and they don't want to promote from within because I think they want to clean house as far as the coaching staff goes. So, I mean, Tom Crean would be good for the job. He would be, but I don't know if he'd want to take it. So. We'll see how that all unfolds. We'll see who they bring in or what they do there, and we'll see what impacts it has on the seasons ahead. Mike, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Did you throw it to me?
I did.
Oh, wow. I was not paying attention after a certain point. Although, all I'll say about this is when Rick Pitino's name kind of came out in combination with this scandal, nobody thought he was innocent. Everyone's like, "Oh, Rick Pitino's part of this? Yeah, he's hella guilty." And it made sense because it kind of did something. It was about Adidas. Louisville is one of those big teams who has Adidas as their major sports sponsor, excuse me. So when everybody said, "Oh, well, Rick Pitino might be a part of this," everyone's like, "Yeah, he probably is." Rick Pitino. No, I don't know where you're going. I'm literally done. But anyways, I guess I'll talk for a little bit longer. Rick Pitino could not keep his hand out of a metaphorical cookie jar. Pun totally intended because it makes sense because of his last two scandals. Anyways, it is a problem in college basketball. Adidas is at the forefront of this scandal. Now, that doesn't mean Nike is totally innocent, and I feel like more teams in college basketball have Nike and the Jordan brand as their brand of choice. Even though Adidas is at the forefront of this scandal, it doesn't mean there have happened or are happening amongst the schools that have Nike, Jordan, or some schools that may still have Reebok. I don't know who still has Reebok as their major sponsor, but no, UCLA did for a while, I think. But yeah, I really don't have too much to say about this because everything's out there by better, more experienced, and smarter people than Jay Billis's article was particularly kind of poignant on the subject. So that's all I really got to say. Rick Pitino is, of course, hella guilty. That is not a surprise.
Yeah.
And then after he pleads his case, although I wouldn't be surprised if the president was pleading his case. That was the case. But, he's got to get an opportunity to plead his case. He better have some massive facts saying, I wasn't a part of this, because he hella was. Because it's Rick Pitino, and no shit he was.
And this is something, like I said, it's not going away. We will be talking about it. There will be every day there will be something new, I think. So as it goes along, we'll cover it. So be prepared, because it's a story that's definitely not going to be this quick hitter. It's going to be coming for quite a while. And it's going to cast a pall over the sport for a very, very long time. And it's just... All right, so we got through everything. We did a little sports and college basketball. We did wrestling. We did entertainment. So with that being said, we are done for tonight. As always, the show might be over. It's not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. Continue to have your voice heard. Please keep your feedback. Please keep sending it in. We need it. We want it. Please keep sending it. It's very helpful. Topic ideas or breaking news items, radio, sports, entertainment, wrestling that you want us to cover. Reactions, comments, or opinions, and things we said on the show. Things we talked about. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. And then once you find our fan page, once you're on our fan page, make sure that you like it. Again, following us on Facebook and Twitter, very, very helpful, especially when it comes to scheduling. Obviously, last minute postponements and delays can happen. We always try to let you know about things ahead of time. If something, like we know something's coming, or a delay, like a cancellation, we'll let you know. But obviously, sometimes last minute things can happen. And only the best way to get a hold of you, reach you all, is to let you know on Facebook and Twitter, on social media. Once we know of something going down, once we know it's going to be a delay or postponement, that's the only way we can really let you all know. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, just search for In the Spotlight 411. And then make sure that you like us or follow us on both those pages, on both those sites. And then that way you can have access to that information. Along with other things too. We always post random thoughts and random musings on there as well. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter and social media, so you make sure you get the latest updates about the show and so much more. If you want to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes, you have two ways for us to do that. You can either stream us anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 401 on both those sites. And once you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites. We will find every episode we've ever produced and streamed on Google Plus and YouTube. That's every episode from mid-October 2015 all the way up into tonight's current episode. Those episodes are available for you to stream anytime you want. Just go to Google Plus and YouTube and search for In the Spotlight 401. If streaming is not your thing, maybe you don't like seeing us on screen, maybe you prefer to listen to us on the go, maybe you're interested in older episodes of the show. If any of that applies to you, go to our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, to search for In the Spotlight 401 on those sites. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites, where you will find every episode we've done in the nearly 7 years we've been doing the show. So it's every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio run from October 2010 to January 2011, everything for our Talk Stream one from January 2011, all the way up to mid-October of 2015. And, of course, all of our Google Plus and YouTube episodes from mid-October of 2015 all the way up into tonight's current episode. All those episodes available in audio format for your convenience, transferring to audio format for your convenience. All those episodes available for you anytime. Every episode we've ever done, from most recent to the oldest, for your convenience. So it's all there, recent, right down to the oldest episode. All those available episodes in audio format available for you to listen to anytime. But maybe you missed a part of an episode, want to check on an episode again, maybe catch up on episodes that you missed, or episodes that you just want to check out again, or maybe you're a long-time fan, want to check out an episode from 4 or 5 years ago, a new fan want to check out an episode like that for the first time. Everything that applies to you, or maybe just like listen to us on the go. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, to search for In the Spotlight 401. Again, to search for In the Spotlight 401. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Just search for In the Spotlight 401 on all those sites, and just search for In the Spotlight 401 on all those sites, and you'll be able to stream us, listen to us, catch up on past episodes, look back at classic episodes, anything you want to do, any of those things and much more you can do. Just check out those sites and you'll be able to do that. All right, I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
I'm assuming you threw it to me again.
I said thank you for being here. Oh my goodness.
Well, in theory, was I really here at all? Yeah, I guess there's proof of that, so I guess I was. I don't know. I'm tired. It's time for bed. Also, talked about this at the beginning of the show, or maybe you didn't. I don't know. I wasn't here for that part. Condolences.
Yeah.
Many girlfriends,
Mm-hmm.
former wives of Playboy founder Hugh Hefner. He was a big influence on many of an adolescent boy and male. I'm being totally serious. He was, for better or worse, a major part of the sexual revolution that has happened in the United States over the past, I don't know, let's say 70 years. Because let's face it, before Playboy on television, women and men slept in separate beds. And after Playboy, better or worse, objectification is still a thing. And it's a conversation that we do need to have as a society, as a culture. That I think we're having is a giant step forward from where we were 60, 50, 40 years ago. You know what I mean? And Playboy is one of those major parts of the culture. So
yeah,
was the Playboy brand. So rest in peace, Hugh Hefner.
I was going to bring it up at the end, because I figured you'd have some thoughts to say on it. So I was going to bring it up after I did the shout outs, but I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to be brought up anyway. The other thing I just would throw in, because, first of all, the man lived a very long, very interesting life.
91 years old.
And look, the guy was a character. The Playboy Mansion and everything, and how influential Playboy was, and But I was listening to a lot of stuff on him today. People were talking about it, and people don't realize he was big into civil rights too. So he did a lot there as well. So he's a very influential figure. I mean, everybody, there's a lot of like joking about the Playboy stuff and everything, but the man was an icon, and he did a lot of influential things. So it's a definite loss for pop, especially including for pop culture. Definite loss, but again, he lived a very long, very interesting life. And may he rest in peace. It's sad, but there's when something like this, when you look at certain people, and obviously it's always sad when somebody passes away. It's always sad. But, sometimes you get comforted by the idea that that person lived a long life and got to do so much. And he's one of those people. You can kind of like, you're sad, but then you go, you know what? At least he did what he wanted to do. He lived the way he wanted to live, and God bless him. He had his ways, and he did what he did. And that was Hugh Hefner. So may he rest in peace, and our condolences go out to his family and his loved ones. It was a shock. It was a shock, because he was always somebody that you look at, he's full of life, and he's, kind of seemed invincible in a lot of ways. So, that's a true loss. May he rest in peace. All right. Obviously, let's do our shout outs here. I want to thank myself for our great show, pat myself on the back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those who will be watching and listening to this later, thank you to you as well. I mentioned at the start of the show that I was going to about the changes that are coming to the show, and I said I was gonna throw something out there at the end of the show. I didn't mean I was going to do a 20-minute segment explaining changes, because we don't know a lot yet. Okay, I did tell you that nothing's happening next week, and the week after will be our anniversary. We might do some things that week, we might not. The truth is, right now, the only thing I'm trying to decide on that's left to be decided is the platform. I have a couple of options. I haven't made my decision on that yet. I've already detailed some of the things that we're going to be doing, like time change and, kind of splitting things up, more content, things like that. We're in the process right now of finalizing the details of what we're going to be doing. That's the bottom line. And we're not rushing this, because this to me has to be right. In the past, we were like, oh, gotta do this by this, gotta do this by that. I want this to be right. I want this to be comfortable. I want this to work. So I'm really doing my diligence this time. I'm working with people that I trust their opinion, and just really want to do this the right way. So it's not that I'm avoiding unveiling plans. It's just that we're finalizing things. So right now, it's an idea of the platform we're going to be on. If it's multiple platform, if it's one platform, I don't know. I keep going back and forth on what would work for us and what wouldn't work for us. So the bottom line here is this. By the end of the year, the majority of this will be implemented. There might be a few things that aren't. It depends on how things work out. Some of it might be out of my hands. Some of it might be in the. Some of it, again, I don't know how this is going to unfold. There's things we might implement before the changeover to another platform, so that people get used to the way we're going to be doing things before we move. There's a lot of different components here. Long story short, okay, and I know I'm not giving you too many specifics here. I'm just giving you an update, okay? And that's really all I intended to do tonight, was give you an update. Even though I hyped it up maybe to be a little bit more. And that's what I do. I hype things up. Let's get with it, okay? Within the next 2 weeks, you'll know all the final details. And then we'll give you all how it's all going to unfold, the dates and everything, and that will be it. Just know that we're closing in on finalizing everything, and that, the process will begin probably within the month, probably within 3 weeks, maybe even a little sooner than that. It won't be next week, though. And then we'll go from there. Now, that's vague, but I think it's best for that, because then if I tell you some things that are not finalized and they don't happen, everybody goes crazy, and then people get panicked, and I don't want to do that. So, I'm doing this the smart way by giving you what you absolutely need to know, just to give you all an update, so that you kind of like, okay, it's still coming, things are still being worked out, and now you can kind of like, okay, nothing's happening next week. Let's see how it all goes, and then in a couple of weeks you'll have another update, and then you'll know. Okay, so just so that people don't think that something's going on or nothing's happening and all this other stuff. Just kind of to get people calmed down. That's all. So hopefully that did that. Okay, so not a detailed update, but an update nonetheless. All right, so that being said, that's it for this week. Next week, we got a pretty normal week, but we got a lot to do. Tuesday, NFL season preview. Fine, we've been postponing that for a few weeks. We're going to do that on Tuesday. It'll be a segment. It won't be the whole show. Please do not go crazy. MLB playoffs preview will be on opposite the AL wildcard game. So we'll do live in-game discussion of that. We will do I was going to say, any other sports stuff that we have to cover, we will cover. So that will be on Tuesday. Thursday, we're going to do a little bit of entertainment, box office beat. We'll continue our fall TV report card series, TV highlights. We'll be doing wrestling and previewing WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So if you have any questions or comments, if we have some time that you want us to address, you can send them in before the show or during the show next Thursday. And that will be what we do next week. And then a week after that will be our anniversary, and we'll do some stuff with that. And then, of course, again, as I said, changes will be starting to be implemented as we go along. So, all right, so that's it. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great weekend, and a great start to your week next week. We'll see you back here for our first show of October. This is our last show of September. We'll see you back here for our first show of October, this coming Tuesday, October the 3rd. Broadcasting and streaming live here on YouTube at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.